It's been a little while, but before we get into the video, last week the world lost one of the greatest players to ever play the sport of football in Diego Armando Maradona, who passed away at the age of 60. Seeing the impact that it has had on players and coaches and personalities in the football world, the impact that this has had is tragic. But the legacy and the stories he has left behind is immense. Hasta siempre, Diego. Rest in peace. And thank you for your legacy. It's hard to get pumped up after a somber introduction like that, but there was a lot of good football this weekend, and we should talk about it. So last week, a friend of mine texted me and told me how disappointed he was about Real Madrid and how they were playing. And so I decided to watch a game this weekend, and I caught Real Madrid versus Alaves. Now, a lot can be said about this game. It was very unfortunate that there was that handball and the penalty in the first 5 minutes of the game, and maybe it wouldn't have been given at a different point in time, and the new handball rules suck. Sure. But it's Real Madrid, and they should have been able to keep up with Alaves. I mean, yeah, sure, they didn't have Benzema or Sergio Ramos, but they still had Eden Hazard, Marco Asensio, Luka Modric, Toni Kroos, Casemiro, Marcelo. These are superstars of world football. And Deportivo Alaves looked comfortable. They looked okay defending whatever Real Madrid threw at them. They had quite a few chances of their own too. And in an unfortunate turn of events, Real Madrid's best player, Courtois probably, gave away the ball and then Tozzo scored. Which is kind of embarrassing, I guess, but late on in the game, Casemiro brought back one goal, so not all bad. And I suppose if I was a Real Madrid fan, I would be not too worried because Barcelona aren't doing that well this season either. It looks like Manchester City are back with a bang after losing 2-0 to Tottenham last week. Yeah, Burnley were bad, but then again, you can only beat what's put in front of you, and Manchester City did that quite well. Riyad Mahrez had the game of his life. That was the best performance I've seen him put in for Manchester City, and it was his first hat-trick for them as well, so good for him. And City's attack flowed, their midfield connected nicely, the defense was working, they didn't seem to have any problems in concentration or a lack of intent. It looks like Pep Guardiola really drilled them for this one, and knowing Manchester City and how competitive they have been in the last few years, I'm sure they wanted to come back with the big statement as well. And hopefully for Man City and Pep, they continue and they put together a good title challenge. From the blue side of Manchester to the red side of Manchester, and this one was quite literally a game of two halves. In the first half, Manchester United were, well, they weren't that bad to be honest. They were alright. Southampton were just better. And that goal that James Ward-Prowse scored was just amazing. Like, there was nothing you could do about it. It was very sad to see David De Gea come off though. But Manchester United have a pretty good second string goalie in Dean Henderson, so they should be doing alright over there. The first half ended 2-0 to Southampton, and the second half was a completely different story. Edinson Cavani's movement and positioning was picture perfect. It was beautiful and lethal. Bruno Fernandes did score Manchester United's first goal, and throughout the second half he ran himself into the ground. During the post-match press conference, he looked like a zombie. He was melting. He was about to collapse. And that's really, really great to see from a team. To have that kind of spirit and that kind of guile to go for a 2-0 loss and turn it into a 3-2 win. And that's the kind of character that we're used to seeing Manchester United have in the days of Fergie. And for all the bad things you hear about Manchester United on social media, they still seem to be having a pretty good run on the field. This match was special. This match was so much fun to watch. It was the first time that two legendary managers in Carlo Ancelotti and Marcelo Bielsa met for the first time. And the game was end to end. And I know it ended 1-0. Rafinha scored a really nice goal from outside the box to the bottom right corner, giving Leeds the win. But the score could have been 4-3 or 5-4 either way, and it would have still been okay. The game was so good. Both managers and both teams just went for it. It was end to end. And if you guys are looking for a fun team to watch this season just to get into the football, watch any of these two teams. You can't go wrong. Meslier, the Leeds goalkeeper, he is so young, so young. He looks like a 12-year-old on the face, but he plays so well. He is mature, he is patient, and he's a good goalkeeper. And for all the bad things that people say about Jordan Pickford not being good enough for England, he put in a good performance too. He had a great game, even though Everton lost. Check these guys out, seriously. Okay, so at the time of recording, this game ended about 20 minutes ago, and I am still not over it. Arsenal have lost their third consecutive home game of the season. Arsenal have also had their worst start since the beginning of the Premier League. Wolves, on the other hand, they've had a tactical change in the last week. They have moved from a 5-back to a 4-back, and looks like it's working well for them, so yay. Daniel Podence is a very skillful player, and Pedro Neto is just this ball of energy who is so much fun to watch. But the big, real headline for me in this game was that freak accident that happened at the beginning of the game. It was a collision between David Luiz and Jimenez. David Luiz was gushing blood, and he continued to play the rest of the first half, even though it didn't look like he was all there. It didn't look like he was comfortable playing. Raul Jimenez, on the other hand, woke up, regained consciousness only at the 65th minute of the game. That was while he was in hospital. Concussions are serious and are not to be taken lightly. So, sincerely, I hope that both Raul Jimenez and David Luiz recover fully with no lasting damage. Getting back to the game though, Arsenal clearly had a lot of work to put in. The goals that they let in were due to some really bad defensive errors, and Leno didn't have the best time either. On the other hand, they did create more chances than we're used to seeing Arsenal create. Aubameyang was involved in the game. He had more touches on the ball, and he had a few shots as well. He didn't score, but there is progress in that direction. And that is probably the hopeful Arsenal fan inside me telling me this. Realistically, objectively, with a quarter of the season gone, if Arsenal want to finish in the top 6 of the Premier League, they have a serious uphill battle ahead of them. Quickfire results. PSG drew 2-2 with Bordeaux. Liverpool drew 1-1 with Brighton, which is slightly more embarrassing. Juventus drew 1-1 with Benevento, which is a little more embarrassing. AC Milan got another win to keep their top spot of the Serie A table. Feels like I'm going back in time. And finally, in Barcelona's 4-0 win against Osasuna, Leo Messi dedicated his goal to the late great Diego Maradona. That is the end of the weekend review. Thank you guys for watching. We have a few more videos coming up. We're going to be talking about tactics and maybe a few top 10 lists. Yeah, I know. So original. You should subscribe so you don't miss them. And while you're at it, hit like, drop a comment as well. And I will see you guys later.